and it's time to unite the realm.
Whoa! I don't even play hockey, and I'm ready to go. All right, let's go. Okay, that was of course game 1 hype, but it doesn't matter because game 5 hype is going to feel even better. I got a feeling. Let's find out from the guy who knows everything there is to know about that game. It's called hockey. His name is Chris Collins, former NHL TV and radio broadcaster, scout, general manager. I think he's done the uniforms before. He's ironed.
I did. Yes, I did. Yeah, for the Shamrocks back in the Pacific Hockey League. Yeah, I did back in 77, my senior year in high school. I basically was the assistant GM of the San Francisco Shamrocks in the Pacific Hockey League. We had all these former World Hockey Association guys on the team and NHL players. It was my, let's just say it was my coming out party for pro athletes. And I was on the road with them, everything. And I had to bribe my teachers at Santa Clara High School by giving them season tickets so they would give me passing grades. I could do my homework on the road. And I was basically the equipment manager and the guy that got yelled at by our head coach all the time. And then I was on the bench and had to, fight off fans throwing beer at us. And then, yeah, of course, uniforms, skate sharpening, and all the what we call sweaters, which are jerseys. I had to wash all those. And, oh, yeah, it was phenomenal. What a year that was.
That was your start, though. Were they any good? I don't even remember them.
The Pacific Hockey League was great. Yeah, we had a great team. We off that team, we had probably 11 or 12 NHL draft picks. Half of those guys were regulars in the National Hockey League. We had, it was a good league. There were a number of kids that came out of that league and went and played in the National Hockey League. We played to about 6,000-7,000 a game at the Cow Palace. I have a real history at the Cow Palace. I was there with the Shamrocks. I was there with my junior team, the Bay Area Seals, which we, of course, played for a national championship. That's a team I owned. And then I was there with the Sharks because we had to play 2 years there. So I basically know where all the skeletons were and all the closets, no matter how much work they did to rebuild those dressing rooms and everything. I tell everybody, man, if I could tell stories.
Yeah, I walked in there. It was about, Chris, it was probably 2011, I think, when I walked in there for the first time into that particular locker room. And boy, did the Cow Palace certainly showed its age. It was just been around a long, long time. That's why it's called the Cow Palace, by the way.
You know what it was? They built it, obviously, for that livestock exhibition show, the Far Western, whatever they call it. I don't know what it is. Far Western exhibition. They do it every year. And that building was paid for. And it was built in 39 or 38. And it's been paid for since. And it's maybe the most valuable piece of real estate, quote unquote, that the state holds because of its location and so forth. And that's why people say, yeah, why don't we tear it down? Why would you tear it down? Overflow parking for the old Candlestick. There, you could bus people to and from straight across to the stick. It's and everybody's been there. JFK was in there.
The Beatles played there.
Yeah, my sister sat front row for the Beatles there, and she still has the color pictures of the Beatles. That's all she did. I said, well, did you scream? And she goes, I was stunned. For an hour and a half, I just had this Polaroid. And she's had 3 Polaroid cameras and kept snapping pictures of Paul McCartney. And we've got these pictures still.
Oh, I bet there was something these days.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they are. But, yeah, so it's and by the way, I love the game presentation. It's the best in sports that the Golden Knights have. And I just want to alert everybody, there's not a whole lot of enemy in Winnipeg. Being the former NHL guy I am, Winnipeg, the biggest enemies are going to be in the underground movie theaters, because in the winter it's, the average is 4 billion below zero with ice everywhere and everything goes underground, are usually Eskimos smoking cigarettes in the movie theaters when you want to go watch a movie. So that would be about the only enemies you're going to find in Winnipeg.
That's a great mental picture right there, let me tell you. Hey, I heard, and you would know more about this, but I heard that team is potentially relocating. They might be moving somewhere.
Well, the owner is a great guy. True North put the team back there. And there's a great story behind this because we had agreed to buy the Arizona Coyotes, my business partner, Greg Jameson and I, and one of my China partners. And it came down to that the Arizona Coyotes were going to move back to Winnipeg. True North was going to reacquire them, or the Atlanta Thrashers were going to go to Winnipeg. And what happened was the commissioner had us all on the phone and said, hey, can you guys pull off this sale and buy it? And Greg and I said, well, yeah, we can, because at that time we had the funding together and so forth. And they said, okay, great. So then Atlanta, because of the building downtown and because of the makeup, people couldn't get downtown to see hockey. Now they'll go down sometimes and see basketball, but it's why the Braves have moved out. It's why Atlanta will probably get hockey again once they finish this new building that's going to be in Forsyth, because you can't get downtown in Atlanta because traffic is so bad.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened was we said yes, and the Coyotes stayed, and Atlanta went to Winnipeg, and the Coyotes stayed. The Coyotes originally came to Arizona from Winnipeg at the end of the 95-96 season. So it had some irony. Anyway, the ownership in Winnipeg is fantastic. They're great guys. The problem is, the Canadian dollar right now is what, about $1.36. I mean, it's 73 cents on the
it's
the
a
US
couple of it's a couple of toonies in your left hand.
Exactly. And their attendance was down this year by, I don't know, 2,500.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? At $135 a ticket, I mean, and you run the building, it matters because, people come in, they eat and drink. They buy the tickets, and listen, everything's tight in the salary cap world, and it's really a great market. I tease it, but I mean the people there are fantastic. They always treated us when I was with the Sharks first class. It's a very big area. It's growing, but it's still a community, I like to say. And it would be really sad after all they did to get that back. They have a beautiful building. They have a phenomenal hockey community. As a matter of fact, the general manager of the Las Vegas Golden Knights is Kelly McCrimmon, who's one of the best people in hockey. He came, when I met him and knew him, he was in the Western Hockey League. He ran the Brandon Wheat Kings. Brandon, Manitoba, obviously, is near Winnipeg, Manitoba. And, I mean, that's what you get in these areas. You get real people, okay? And that's what I can tell you. And Winnipeg's done a phenomenal job. The people there, one of my dear friends, Wade Flaherty, is the goalie coach there. Ricky Bonas, who I knew when he was in the league with Pat Quinn in Vancouver and was in Dallas, is the head coach there. He's as good as it comes in hockey. And, it's a first-class organization. So I'm hoping that, even though it's tough with a $1.36, Canadian dollar to the American dollar, that they can keep that thing together. It's great. It's a great hockey place.
What is the city like? I've been to a lot of Canadian cities, but I've never been to Winnipeg.
Yeah. Winnipeg, when I was in the league in the 90s, and then after that in the WHL for a couple of years, was an evolving city. It's I think at one point it was 46% government city. What they did was, like a lot of cities do, they built in areas that hadn't been occupied, and they put a lot of money into redoing it so they could keep the younger minds, so they didn't get brain drain like a lot of older cities get, especially in Canada. I mean, Canada has less people than the state of California. So, I mean, the whole country does. So, but it's a unique city built on with a history, Ukrainian city, strong Ukrainian community Edmonton is. But Edmonton's an oil capital like Calgary is.
Yeah.
And Winnipeg was more trains. And they've been able to attract a lot of businesses in there with smart growth in the province of Manitoba. I mean, it needed to be done. That they told them, hey, it worked hard to get this thing back. If you want to keep it, it would be bad, is all I'm going to say. Okay.
Gotcha.
And Ottawa's in the same boat. Okay. Ottawa.
Did not know that.
Oh yeah, they're trying to sell it right now because the owner died, but they have to have a new building because their building's 40 miles out of downtown, and it takes an hour to get there on the team bus, and it's ridiculous. And they've got apparently going to sell the franchise, they say, for $1 billion. U.S., which I find hard to believe that anybody could pay $1 billion for a team in Ottawa. But be that as it may, one of the people looking at it was the owner of the Sacramento Kings.
Wow.
So that caught my attention. I had a bunch of people call me and go, "Hey, do you know Vivek Ranadiv?" And I said, "Well, I know of him. I don't know him. I obviously know people that work there with the Kings from my longtime association and media years in Sacramento. But wouldn't that be ironic?" They said, "Well, yeah, let's 2 or 3 years from now put him in Sacramento. You wouldn't have to change the name from the Senators. You could just call them the Sacramento Senators."
Which would be a great name for Sacramento team. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so, that reminds me. I wanted to ask you: are any chance that you? I know you're working on a soccer thing now, right? But is there any chance you're going to get back into hockey?
I do some scouting. I've been asked to do projects. I've had a couple of NHL teams come to me and ask about scouting. I mean, obviously with China and my experience there running the Olympic team and the national program, when I brought the Sharks there, I had teams wanting me to integrate them with China. But unfortunately, President Xi decided he was going to anger the West and line up with Putin, which is not, for hockey, it wasn't a bad idea. The Russians are fantastic in hockey, and their hockey people are really good people. Right. So I don't want to associate their hockey people with Putin, even though Putin loves hockey. I was actually offered, and this stays between us, wink, wink, Putin and Medvedev, who was the president when Putin was the prime minister, he and then the brother who runs Gazprom, actually offered the Beijing franchise in the Continental Hockey League to me. And they said, "We'll give you $5 million to run it. You just come in and operate the team." And I declined because I knew I would never be able to invest in a National Hockey League team or run one if I, because he's not going to do that. And now, as we've seen, he's a mad genocidal murderer, that's, tried to wipe out his neighbor.
Yeah, you chose wisely.
Padawan. Yeah, that was a good move on my part not to do that. But I have talked to clubs about those subjects. So I'll leave it at that. I mean, it's a game that's young. Okay, so you have to understand, every 5 years now instead of 10, there is 75% turnover. Okay, so in 5 years, if I'm not in it, I mean, it's going to be another turnover. Okay, gotcha. And it's hard to stay in that game unless you're in the game, if that's not too conflicting of a statement. Okay, if you're out of the game, which I obviously am not really, I'm never out of the game, but it's
no way. It's in your blood. You can't get rid of it. What is your soccer project, or can you not talk about it?
I can talk about it because I'll probably end up buying advertising with you. It's a huge deal that involves Liga MX out of Mexico and a number of national teams in Latin America, and academies and stadium ownership. And we've been doing exhibition matches throughout the West, and we've done very well with them. We sell them out. We bring in the top clubs, and these clubs play, and Mexican soccer is like nothing you've ever seen. Okay, even in exhibition matches, it's a pure battle and war. And they love the West Coast because they get $1.
Yep. And just like that, he's gone. Well, we'll take a break and we'll get Chris back. Oh, there he is. Hey, you want to wait for?
Now, what happened was my phone. I try to block my phone from getting phone calls. Yeah. And anytime I get a phone call, it clicks off.
Like that. Okay. Gotcha. Well, we gotta work on that. Okay. You caught me twice, almost going to break. So I'm glad we got to break. No, that's fine. Hey, Chris, what let me get back to the soccer thing again. Is there going to be any games close to us here?
Yes. Okay. I can't go into it, but yes, there will be a concentrated effort on Vegas. Okay, Vegas is almost over sportsed right now, and I don't want to get into it with the A's right now or with John Fisher, despite the horns that are growing out of the top of his head. But
I saw a Dave Cavill picture where he had the horns and the flames all around him, and he actually looks pretty good with a goatee, though. I have to tell you that.
Yeah. Well, listen, what's honor among friends, right?
That's right.
Forget
That
the
is right.
fans that spent $600 million or $1 billion, but that's
Right.
fine.
That's all I mean. Don't get me started, department. Let's talk about this game tomorrow night. The Golden Knights could say to Winnipeg, bye-bye. It's been good to see you, and move on to the next round. All they've got to do is win a game. But from what I hear, Winnipeg is pesky. They don't want to go away.
They're well coached, like I said. They've got great net minding, and they put together great teams because they don't have the budget and the wherewithal to go in and bring in those three superstars that they want. They develop their own, and they've done a phenomenal job. It's one of the better run franchises in the league. Now, you come home, and if you're a player, you've got family at home, you've got friends around, you probably have friends coming in from out of town that want to come in, Vegas, April, May, watch hockey, sit by the pool. In the National Hockey League, the playoffs are very difficult because you're exhausted from the regular season.
Sure.
You're probably nursing injuries, and
a lot like
it's
baseball.
not easy to win. It's
a lot
easier
like baseball.
to
Long
right.
season,
and I'll tell you,
long
on the
playoffs.
road.
Yeah.
On the road, listen to me. On the road, you go out and play, and you almost have a better mindset to compete, okay, than you do at home. Now, obviously, at home, if it gets going, you get off on a good foot, and the crowd's with you, you can tear it apart. But this is not easy, and you heard right. I mean, Winnipeg's going to come, and they're going to lay it on the line. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, you favor Vegas. They've all been tight games, okay? It's been very, very close. And it's where you would think Vegas would win has happened. Okay, Eichel has finally stepped up. They traded for Jack Eichel, who was thought to be a superstar when he was drafted, potentially. Right. And he's starting to show that he can carry a team and make big things happen, big plays at big times. So they've done a miraculous job, Bruce Cassidy has, with net minding. What have they had? 5 different net minders this year? Guys have been hurt, and they brought these guys in. They've got Brossois, who's been a career backup in the NHL, which still means he's one of the best goalies in the world. Now he's carrying the mantle. And they also have guys like John Stevens, who assists Bruce Cassidy. Johnny Stevens may be the best defensive coach in the National Hockey League. He won 2 cups as assistant head coach in LA. He's a phenomenal coach. Okay, he's calm. He keeps his players calm. And this year they're winning those type games. So that's why I told you before, I like Vegas all the way, because to me, they've learned with Cassidy how to win 2-1 games in the playoffs. Or if they give up a lead, they don't freak out. Okay, give up a 3-goal lead, so what? We're going to win it in overtime, and we're going to win it our way. And these are all very good things. And you know what? You're doing it against a good organization, and when you win, go home and rest, because you're going to get even a better one in the next round. That's the way it works in the NHL. That's why it's a brutal playoff existence.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an overview of any of the other series?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Edmonton, just took a lead on LA last night. LA had that thing wrapped up 3 days ago. It looked like they were going to have a 3-2 series lead, and their best player, their captain, screwed up in his own end and let a guy fire a 100-mile-an-hour snapshot and tie a game, and they lost in overtime. And now they're 1 game away from being eliminated. That's the way the sport works, right? You got to play.
And that's what you're talking
60.
about. It can turn just like that, can it?
Yep. Yeah. Just like that. I had the Boston game on tonight while we were talking. I know it went into overtime 3-3. I mean, they're up 3-1. They've been the best team all year long. They seem to win games whenever they want. I'd be shocked if Florida came back in that series and even got it to a 7th game. So, I mean, you got the Rangers and the Devils were tied. That doesn't surprise me. These are 2 similar teams. The former Vegas coach coaches the Rangers, which is interesting. So I've told you from the beginning, I like Boston and Vegas. Okay. Yeah. I especially like if Vegas can win with Brossois, because I loved the kid when I saw him when he played in junior in Edmonton. He was a phenomenal goalie, and then he went into pro, and he had to go all the way down to the ECHL and play his way up to the AHL, and he's played his way up through misfortune of others or injury, and he's taken advantage of that, and they believe in him. So I would love to see this kid be able to lead his team all the way to a conference championship and then get a chance to play at the Cup. It would be a phenomenal story in its own right. But there are issues in the way. There's some good franchises, Edmonton being one. they come at you in waves. They've got the best player in the world there. I mean, they're not going to be easy. I don't know about their net minding. They've got a first-year kid. He tends to get a little bit loosey-goosey when things get tense with him, and that's normal. It's a young guy. It takes a while.
Inexperience shows itself typically in these high-pressure situations, right? Speaking
Absolutely.
of, I want to play a real quick piece of audio for you. Apparently, this is just from earlier this year. I didn't get a chance to see it when it happened, but I want to get your thoughts. So listen to this.
Rebound, they score! Somehow it got in. Not sure if Dorofeev knocked it in or not. It'll be his first in the NHL.
I think it goes off of Jordan Binnington and comes back and hits Dorofeev off of the head and into the net. I mean, that's a good way of using your head to score a goal, John.
And the young Russian, the 22-year-old, gets his first NHL goal off his mask.
Off his own mask, yeah. Have you seen that?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I saw the replay. That John Kelly calling that is an old friend of mine, great announcer. And, yeah, I did see that. There's a lot of things I've seen happen like this in hockey, from guys skating back and hitting off the rear end, off the butt into the back of the net, off to the side of it.
Too, right? Off the butt and into the back of the net.
Yeah. Well, yeah, off his gluteus maximus. I mean, I don't know. If I'm excited, I'd use the ass word, and we go from there. But I've seen them all like that. It's,
are you, Chris? Are you never not in your car? You're always in your car.
I know. I was just gonna say, you caught me again. I'm putting the soccer deal together. If I get a call. The quickest way of meeting Half Point is Motown. So I'm racing Modesto
on your way to Modesto.
I got some numbers done, and there's somebody coming with that person, and I'm not going to send that to them. So I want them to show them and answer a few questions, and it's only an hour and 15 minutes.
And it'll be a safer night for you because you're not in Stockton. So there you go.
Exactly, and I have to be different when I'm doing media. So the fact that cars are racing by with gunshots flying as we go through Stockton. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
An interview with Chris Collins is like an episode of Starsky and Hutch. It's great. All right, man. Well, you're calling a Vegas win, but you're telling them to make sure they're watching their back because it's possibly a very tight game, and we obviously want to get it over with tomorrow. We don't want to have to go back to Winnipeg. Right?
Well, you don't want to go 7, not against this team. You in hockey, you do not want to give.
Let's do this. Let's get it over with tomorrow night. All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hockey, Chris Collins. I really appreciate you, and have a good night, and I hope your meeting goes well.
Thank you, brother. Take care, man.
Off to Modesto he goes. There's Chris Collins, Mr. Hockey. Now we're going to take that break. It's a quick one. When we come back, baseball conversation just between two dudes who moved from the Bay Area to Las Vegas, and they might have maybe a different opinion than you do.
Hi there, this is Kirby Schofield, Schofield Realty here in Las Vegas. Real estate is always changing. Be it a buyer's market, a seller's market. At Schofield Realty, it's your market. Buying or selling, we have the team and the tools to work the market so it works for you. We are excited that we're on the Wayne Coy Show. Our results blessed us with the Zillow Flex partnership roughly about 2 years ago due to our consistent conversion and customer service scores. With conversion, that means we can close. And with our customer service scores, you know you're going to get the best service possible. We're always looking for agents, led by mentorship, resources, and experience. We are your guide. Find us, Kirby4U.com. That's KIRBY, the number 4, the letter U.com. Kirby4U.com or call 702-766-9538. Again, 702-766-9538.
Now back to the Wayne Coy Show.
Shopping is always easy with the Radio Shopping Show. Whether it's shopping during any one of our live shows right here on AM 1400 or listening live on the KSHP app, you can always call in at 702-221-7283 to pick up great deals with your favorite host. Or shop 24/7 at kshp.com. Go to kshp.com and select Shopper's Guide to browse hundreds of businesses featured on the show. Place your order online and we'll have it shipped right to your front door. With so many possibilities, it's hard not to shop.
Live from Las Vegas, this is the Wayne Coy Show.
Last night I had the strangest dream. With the 42nd pick in the 8th round of the Major League Baseball draft of 2028, the Las Vegas Athletics select shortstop Wayne Coy.
Whoa, Mike! I just had the strangest dream, Michael. It was the weirdest thing. It was like there was Major League Baseball in Las Vegas.
Major League Baseball in Las Vegas. Stop it!
I know,
Stop it!
Right? Let's go to the Aviators game, like we said. Well, have you been following the news? Have you been under a rock? Do you know what is going on here? It is a new day in Las Vegas. Take us out to the ball game. Take us out to the crowd. Take us out to the big old dirty parking lot at Tropicana.
Right across from In-N-Out.
Yeah, where the ladies will definitely pay attention to you when you walk by. Somebody was talking the other day about, will the hookers stay? Or will there be more of them? Or will they be the same class of hooker? You know?
The same lack of class hooker?
Yeah. Because that is an area that has become known for strolling women on the sidewalks.
Years and years. And
I'm not going to say they're doing anything wrong.
Metro doesn't seem to really bat an eye at it. I've been here 30 years, and that's been where they are.
It is where they are.
It's where they are.
Right.
That particular subset of that particular profession. Ironically,
in and out across the street. So there you go. Hey, we'll be here all week. But listen. Yeah, so like anytime you're going to build a new ballpark from nothing, and we can speak to this being Bay Area kids, and more specifically being Oakland A's fans.
Huge A's fans.
We can speak to the whole ballpark drama.
When you and I were going to games back in Billy Ball.
Yeah.
You got a ball signed for me with Ricky Henderson and Billy Martin and Tony Armas and Dave Revering. And so, I mean, we've been doing this for a minute. That's a long time
I was doing it even before then.
Well, no, but I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So
been a long time since we rock and roll. That would have been early 80s, right?
Yeah, when you could walk down into where the players parked their cars and it wasn't secure. I mean, it was a completely different time back then.
Yeah.
We're old.
Ricky don't like to sign no autograph right now. Ricky need to go in and get dressed. And that's what Ricky would do. That's what Ricky do. Okay. It's bittersweet. I've said this on the air. I did like a whole rant the other night and I had to get it out of my system. So if you're listening and you're a vegan, and you're somebody said that the other day. We're not vegans. So no, you're Las Vegans. It's different.
It is
Las Vegan, not vegan.
Oh.
Vegan. Or what'd you call the Summerlin people today?
The Summerlinians. Yeah.
Summerlinians, some are not. Okay. Here all week. We had to get that off our chest because that was, even though you sort of knew that something was coming, I didn't expect it to be middle of the night, middle of the week. When it seemed like nobody was paying attention to anything except the Kings and the Warriors. Right. Or in our case here, Golden Knights and the Jets, which, by the way, do we have a score?
Last I saw, it was 1-1 early in the second.
Okay. We have to stay on top of that.
Yeah, we are.
Michael, if you're going to be my partner here, you're going to have to really step up.
You know what? I didn't realize that I was going to have to be multitasking.
When Ricky do a show with Wayne Coy,
I didn't realize I was going to have to multitask.
Yeah, okay. What is the score?
It is 1-1, 9:19 in the second.
Okay. Hockey, that's not what Ricky do.
No.
Ricky does baseball. So, yeah, it was hard to take because it isn't just, as I said on the air, it's not just like we just had a team for a couple of years. It's 55 years.
Right. Through Charlie Finley and Billy Ball and the Haas family and lean times and better times, back and forth and back and forth. And so to the narrative that the fans don't support the team isn't correct.
Right.
It's not correct.
Right.
And it's just like with every other sports ownership runs how things go. If you have strong ownership and they identify people that they hire to let do their jobs, things work out.
And you got to pay the players. And if you expect to have good things on the field, you got to pay to play.
But
basically.
you invest money. And as I'm looking at it, the amount of money that people are spending for professional sports franchises continues to go up.
Remember when Charlie Finley sold the A's for $10 million?
People thought it was nuts. Like, who would buy them? Why? 10 million.
Yeah.
Right. But the exponential growth of what you sell your team for, you have to invest some money on the in between the buy and the sell.
Yeah.
It's a stock. It's rich people buying stock is what they're doing.
Yeah.
But are you investing in it as you move along? Or are you just waiting for a good opportunity to get out
and cash out?
It just seems like that happens to be John Fisher's motivation.
Yeah, it's exactly his motivation. It doesn't seem like it is.
And I don't know the guy, right? And I'm not.
Nobody knows
that.
He won't talk to anybody.
And which is why he sends Dave Cavall up there to be his, it's whichever.
Yeah.
To be his whipping.
I say Cavall, you say Cavall.
But it doesn't look, if he would have figured out a way to get a stadium built and invest some money, the Haas family proved it. You could have a winner. Yeah. And you would have A's fans lining up to get tickets, build a new ballpark in that same parking lot.
Yeah.
Your BART's right there. The freeway's right there. Hagenberg and 98, they're right there.
The airport is right there.
The airport's right there. We were talking about this earlier, but a really good friend of mine is from back east, from New Jersey. Huge Mets fan. Every year that the Mets play the A's at the Coliseum, Jimmy gets on a plane with his son, goes to the game, has a good time, gets back on BART, gets back to the airport, and comes home same day. It's perfect. It's the best laid out stadium in America to go to a game when you're not from that city.
Yeah.
Why are you leaving? Why? There are options to build. The Yankees did it. The White Sox did it.
Yep.
You use the old stadium while you're building the new one in the same parking lot. know that much about the state finances. What I do know is the Golden Knights got a beautiful deal.
Sure.
Because they were an expansion team.
They were first.
And they were first. Yeah. Exactly right. Then the Raiders and
oh, wait, you said Golden Knights. Can we check the score again, please?
It is. They just scored. So it's 2-1.
2-1 Knights?
2-1 Knights. Yeah.
Hey, on whiteout night in Winnipeg. I love
that was the other night. Are they doing it again?
I think they are.
Again?
I think so.
But anyway, so the Golden Knights got a great deal. And the Golden Knights are our team. Right. There's like, I'm not a huge hockey fan. I understand. I kind of follow it a little bit.
But they were born in Vegas.
They're our team.
Yep.
The Raiders are a bunch of carpetbaggers. It's NFL is what that is about. That piece of business is it's 75,000 people coming to an NFL game.
Right.
Every other Sunday, whatever it is.
And Oakland would not build that stadium for the Raiders that they wanted.
Which is so John Fisher has his own set of issues. Oakland city government has a completely separate set of issues. And both of those are a perfect storm that they don't want professional baseball.
Well, it's optics because you've got homeless camps everywhere you look. You got people doing their business on the sidewalk.
Don't get me started.
You know what I'm saying?
I know, but don't get me started on that.
But I'm saying if you are a politician in that city.
And you're not doing your job. You are not doing your job because that is happening.
Right. So all of that's happening. And it's hard to justify doing anything for sports. Do you know what I'm saying? When you don't have enough police, all of those things that you would hope city government could do.
But isn't having a professional sports franchise monetizing what's going on in your city that you can get money from it?
Should.
So you should earn money from it.
Providing it's not costing you, like in the case of Oakland, where they overspent to build Mount Davis and I think they have one more payment left and then it's paid off. And how long has Al been gone? How long the Raiders already been gone? 3 years. They're still paying for it. So that's what they're trying to avoid doing again. And I get that. I do. I understand it. But apparently, according to the mayor of Oakland, the current mayor, not Libby Schaaf, who was the mayor through most of this.
Who did not want it at all.
Right. And I don't know that the current mayor does, but according to her, they were in real negotiations.
No, they weren't.
And they were supposed to, this last Friday, they were supposed to come to some sort of agreement. But preempting that by 3 days was the announcement that, you know what, forget the negotiations, we're going to Vegas. Now, some would say that's the ultimate play. It is stereotypical negotiations to say, you know what, I got a better deal, I'm going to leave. And as Casey Pratt said, then I go down to the neighborhood bar, I order a double, and I sit there and wait for my phone to ring because it's going to. And then finally, the car dealer is going to call me and say, you know, I think we can do a better deal than we said we could do. So can you come back? All right, I'll come back. He thinks they're still going to come back to the table.
Really?
Yeah. Casey Pratt says it's not over. How would you feel about that? Now, forget that you are from the Bay Area. Forget that you're an A's fan. You're a Las Vegas guy for 30 years.
Right.
So as a Las Vegan, how fair is that to you to make some kind of an announcement like they just did, the binding deal to buy the land? It looks like the team's coming here. Now you find out, no, really, we were just using you to get a better deal in Oakland. How would you feel?
Not much different. It having watched it all play out and seeing how he doesn't seem serious about doing anything. It's all smoke and mirrors and trying to.
You're talking about John Fisher
trying to leverage whatever it is he thinks he wants, and there doesn't seem to be from him a comprehensive. This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
It's just all over the place.
Well, he's from San Francisco.
I think, maybe, no, but look.
He's a Giants fan. And, his family was instrumental in helping to keep the Giants in the Bay Area when it looked like they were on their way to St. Petersburg. And by the way, so were the A's.
Right.
The A's gave them, I don't know if you know this part of the story, but follow along here. The Oakland Athletics gave the San Francisco Giants the South Bay, the San Jose.
Oh, no, I remember that. That's why they couldn't move to San Jose.
Well, they gave the Giants these territorial rights, which when the A's decided they wanted to move to San Jose, the Giants quickly reminded them, oh, you can't do that because we own the territorial rights.
That you gave us.
Yeah, that we gave you.
3-1 Knights.
Okay, so there we go.
Nights.
See, this is a winning city. That's what I'm talking about.
It is.
Can't wait for the Las Vegas A's to get here.
And, here's the thing, is the A's are my team. I will go.
Yeah.
Right. But what I do know to be true is if they do come here,
yep,
they will be a distant third.
Distant third.
Distant third.
Which is what they are in the Bay Area.
Are they
maybe
even,
fourth?
Right. Are they that close?
Well, let's see. Let's think about that for a second. So first in your hearts and in your programs would be I would say the Giants, followed by the 49ers, followed by the Warriors. Maybe the Warriors might have jumped up to number 2 now because they've been winning.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And then after that, it would have been the Raiders who play in Vegas, and then the A's. Right, so that's fifth.
Where does Stanford and Cal fit in that?
That's college. I'm talking about pro sports.
I'm just saying, as
sure, but it is
pecking order.
Yeah, but it's not Nebraska. It's not Alabama. You know what I mean? It's the Bay Area.
I don't know. Baseball's losing its luster in a lot of other markets,
but they're changing that. The bases are bigger. We have a pitch clock now,
and that and that's going to undo 65 years of and look,
from the don't get me started department.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love baseball, but it is losing its luster as a professional sport in our country. It just is.
Did you get that? Because I did. The thing from the A's about a year ago, where they were asking questions about this and that.
No, they don't care what I think. I live here.
No, I live here too, and I got it living here. I was a resident here, and I got it in my mailbox.
Really?
Or my inbox, I think. I got it was an email. Yeah, from the A's asking questions. You know, like what would you want?
No, I get
how
stuff
important
from
is
Stockton
tailgating?
Ports. I get Stockton Ports emails and Rancho Cucamonga Quakes emails.
Do you really?
Yeah, of course I do. I went to the games.
Because you're signing up trying to win the Frisbee.
No, because you when you buy tickets online, you have to sign up and they capture your email and they send you a bunch of crap.
Our guest is Michael Stefanski on the Wayne Coy Show, and not only do we have this debate, the whole what to do now with baseball. Is it coming or is it not? Do we want the A's here or don't we? Are they coming or are they not? We're going to keep talking about that for a while. But another thing you do is you are what is known as a ballpark chaser.
I am a ballpark chaser. Yes, I am.
And we want to hear more about that. So we take a break, we come back, and we'll find out what it's like to go traveling the country, checking out baseball stadiums. This is the Wayne Coy Show, and we are in the middle of a hot conversation.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
Paid for by Steel Man Pills. 800-431-9102. 800-431-9102. 800-431-9102. That's 800-431-9102.
Hi, I'm Sheldon, the owner of Solid Motor Cars. I've spent over 30 years in the retail car business. It is all about the vehicles, but more than that, it's about the people. And my team and I are proud to bring to you what we believe is the finest experience in buying a pre-owned car. With great credit, we can get super low interest rates. But if you've had some challenges, we're experts in that field, and we can get almost anybody approved. Come down to Solid Motor Cars and take a look at our vehicles. They come with a 6-month, 6,000-mile warranty. So when you get a vehicle from Solid Motor Cars, you can feel confident that that vehicle is a quality, properly reconditioned vehicle that will serve you and your family for years to come. So for all your automotive needs, whether it's a new car, truck, or SUV, or if it's repairs, service, and maintenance, Solid Wheels, solid deals, solid people. Coming down to meet the crew. My name's Sheldon. I'm the owner here. I'd love to help you any way that I can.
3024 East Fremont Street, 702-820-1444.
Now back to the Wayne Coy Show.
Talking baseball. We have been talking A's baseball and the Oakland A's, soon to be maybe the Las Vegas Athletics. They say shovel in the dirt by 24.
Right, because they've got to get it past the legislature within the next month or so.
Yeah, by the end of by the beginning of June.
Right, to get shovels in the dirt by next year.
Yeah. And then the reason for that. So this to me, this is the true colors. This illuminates what we're talking about. I heard Dave Cavill say, well, Major League Baseball gave us a deadline of January 2024. That's all he said in the interview. He didn't tell the truth. That's a lie. Okay. What Major League Baseball did is they said the welfare you are getting goes away if you can't figure out what you're doing with your stadium by January of 2024.
The revenue share?
Yes.
Right.
Dave didn't say that.
Right.
Dave said Major League Baseball has given us a deadline. Okay, finish the sentence. And they're taking away our check.
But it makes
Johnny got the gap.
Yeah, but you don't have a place to play to host Major League Baseball, and in a revenue sharing environment, what do you
you have a place. It's the Oakland Coliseum, right? With 8 people and a possum. Okay, I don't want to talk about that anymore. It makes me sad. When it comes to real estate in Nevada, any market is your market. Schofield Realty's got the team and the tools to make any market work for you, wherever you're at, whether it's Henderson, North Las Vegas, the Coliseum, Summerlin, Boulder City, the Arts District, doesn't matter. They're there with you. Schofield Realty, first-class service, transparency, and integrity always. And if you're a great real estate agent, cool. Hope you're making good money. I bet you'd like to make more. Or maybe you want to become a real estate agent and then become a great real estate agent. Well, Schofield Realty wants you to join their award-winning team. It's a culture like no other, and believe me, there's a difference. Have fun making real money doing what you love with the benefit of a proven system with an organization that believes in training and empowering you to be the absolute best you that you can be. So whether you're buying, you're selling, or you're interested in joining the team, discover the Schofield Realty difference and reach out to him right now. It's Kirby, Kirby, the number 4, the letter U.com. That's Kirby4U.com. Or call 702-766-9538, 702-766-9538. It's 766-9538, Schofield Realty. Okay, so you like to pack up your car with all your favorite snack items and head out of town. And Michael Stefanski, you like to go visit baseball stadiums.
I am what's known as a ballpark chaser.
Okay.
So it started, I was going to go to spring training, was it last year? And then the billionaires and the millionaires couldn't figure out who was getting what. So they decided to lock each other out. So I said, forget these guys. I'm going to go see minor league baseball because it's for the love of the game. Well, I didn't realize that there were 8 minor league stadiums in and around California. I made it the mission last year to go to all 8 of them, which I did. And it was a blast. The first game was opening night at Fresno Grizzlies.
Cool.
And growing up in the Bay Area, you don't go to a Giants game and wear Dodger blue. That's not a good idea. Same thing in Chavez Ravine. There's always infighting in major league stadiums about who's wearing whose colors.
That's Crips and Bloods, though.
It's silliness,
yes,
is what it is. But I go to the Fresno Grizzlies game that opening night, and stadium's packed, and there's Dodger gear, and there's Giant gear, and there's A's gear, and there's Padre, and everybody's hanging out and having a good time. A little bit of good-natured ribbing here and there about whose team's who, but it was...
But what's a couple of shootings? I mean, really?
But it was like, what I found was... It was families and people just coming because they love baseball.
Minor league baseball is the best.
It totally opened my eyes. And so I got to Fresno. I got to Visalia, which is a great stadium.
I like their little downtown they have there.
Where at?
Visalia. It's the Fox Theater and all those restaurants that are right around there. Very nice. Hot, though.
Woo, it was a little warm.
Yeah.
Rancho Cucamonga is a great name. I love saying that.
So that's the only reason you went there?
Well, no, because I wanted to go to all the stadiums.
That's an Angels farm team, yeah?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Wasn't even paying
attention.
Really?
You don't pay any attention?
Wasn't paying any attention to that.
Okay.
What my goal was, I'm going to go and I'm going to get your team hat. And I got a couple of the Copa de America?
No.
So the minor league teams all selected some sort of Latino, South American mascot for a period of time.
Okay.
Like, so it's the who was the Chihuahuas, but there's Chihuahuas and the Inland Empire 66ers who play in San Bernardino.
Okay.
Renamed themselves the Cucuys.
The Cucuys.
Cucuys. You'll have to Google it. I'm not going to go into what it is, but it's really cool. But anyways, they all have the Copa de America logoed stuff, jerseys and everything.
Yeah.
So I collected a bunch of those. I collected a bunch of home stuff. It was great. And I just went and enjoyed a ball game at a minor league stadium.
But what makes you a ballpark chaser, though?
So there's a group on Facebook that you just log into and say, I'm going to baseball games. And here's me in Visalia, and here's me in Stockton. And actually this summer, I'm going to Fayetteville to see the Woodpeckers. I'm going to
I love the names.
I know, it's a great name.
Yeah.
Going to Columbia to see the Fireflies, going to Augusta to see the Green Jackets.
What about the Savannah Bananas?
I am not going to the Savannah Bananas.
Why?
Because it's not baseball.
It's fun.
It's circus.
It's the Harlem Globetrotters.
Excellent.
Yes.
I'm happy that they're doing well. I'm not interested in going.
Did you not like the Harlem Globetrotters? It's not basketball.
It's not.
I mean, it's not NBA basketball.
Okay, so I like baseball far more than I like all the other sports.
Okay. So this is a little too. It's crossed the line for you.
It crosses the line. It crosses the line.
Somebody's a little too damn serious around here.
Too serious. And then I'm going to go to Durham Bulls, and I'm going to go see the Kannapolis Cannonballers.
Kannapolis
Cannonballers.
Okay.
So I'm going to do a little tour around the North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia area.
Will you do us a favor here on the show, because we've got emails from people who enjoyed your last visit. So I have a feeling you've connected a bit.
Oh, good.
So would you check in when you're on these trips? And kind of let us know how it's going?
Yeah.
Time difference, though. You'll be getting out right about the time we're on the air.
Well, I can report on closing duties at the ball game.
That's what I'm saying. So if the game starts at, let's say, 7 East Coast time, that's 10 here.
Yeah.
By the time we get off the air, by the time we get on, it's 7 here, so it's 10 there. Perfect timing.
Okay.
You can say, yes, I'm in the parking lot at the Savannah Bananas game.
I will not be at the Savannah Bananas game.
See, you lied, Michael. You're there.
No.
Do you love watching television? If you're on a fixed budget, you need to make this free call right now to Dish and find out how you can get a fixed monthly price to watch all the television you want for 3 full years. In addition to a 3-year price guarantee, you can also get free monthly movie rentals. They give you 1 free movie rental every month. That's a $165 value, yours free. Plus, get free in-home tech visits, no-cost equipment replacements, a free voice remote, and you can watch commercial-free TV. Even access all your favorite apps to stream like Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, and more. Now is the perfect time to call Dish. Take advantage of the 3-year price guarantee. Save yourself some money, and all your equipment is free. Call right now.
800-586-4206. 800-586-4206. 800-586-4206. That's 800-586-4206.
The Klondike Casino is a friendly local spot that features their signature restaurant, the Klondike Grill, serving up fresh food fast. Open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner just off the 95 freeway on Sunset Road in Henderson. You will find the Klondike Casino, featuring all your favorite games from the Strip in the comfort of a neighborhood casino. You can place a bet at their full-service sports book, or start your day with a breakfast plate that comes with your choice of potato and toast. Or check us out for lunch or dinner and try one of our many sandwiches, like the popular beer-battered fish sandwich or the Philly cheesesteak. Check out the full menu at KlondikeSunset.com.
You're listening to the Sports Byline USA Broadcast Network.
USA News, I'm Ryan Daniels. Tucker Carlson is providing his first comments following his firing from Fox News. In a video posted on his Twitter account Wednesday, Carlson didn't go into detail about his firing or future plans, instead delivering statements about stepping outside the noise. Speculation about Carlson's future includes a possible independent digital media venture, or perhaps a foray into politics. Or Fox News announced very suddenly Monday it was parting ways with Carlson. Many in right-wing media are evaluating it as a gross error in judgment. The U.S. House is approving Speaker McCarthy's bill to raise the nation's debt ceiling.
We promised them that we would end our dependency on China. So not only did we create a select committee on China, we just passed a bill to make America stronger and China weaker.
The bill includes pairing a package of spending cuts with a $1.5 trillion increase and claws back billions of dollars of unspent COVID relief funds. Republican Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says it's up to the president and House Speaker McCarthy to resolve the standoff. The U.S. and South Korea are strengthening nuclear deterrence due to concerns over North Korea.
A nuclear attack by North Korea against the United States or its allies or partisans, partners, is unacceptable.
Speaking from the White House alongside the South Korean leader, record levels of snow melts are putting millions of Americans at risk of flooding. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns says this year's flooding on the Mississippi River is very unusual.
Usually we think of these big spring events on the Mississippi, we get like big, huge rainstorms, and then we watch all the water collecting. This is primarily from snowmelt in the Dakotas and Minnesota.
Could result in the worst flood in 20 years in some areas. And reports say Hunter Biden's legal team met with Justice Department prosecutors on Wednesday. The meeting reportedly involved potential charges related to tax filings from the president's son and an illegal firearm purchase. This is USA News.
I've got a unique vacation idea for you that's right here in the United States. If you're ready for a vacation that's fun and downright affordable, listen up. It's driving distance for many of you, so no planes, no airline delays, no hassles. It's Branson, Missouri, the entertainment capital of the Midwest. Live music for everyone. Branson has 3 beautiful, enormous lakes, water attractions, live shows, great food, and tons of entertainment. It's a perfect vacation for you and your family, or if you're retired and you want to have a great time. And you can stay in Branson for as low as $99 a night. Please understand, this is not a timeshare offer. It's a real vacation for as little as $99 a night. We've got a free vacation guide we want to send you right now. All you have to do is call for complete details. Get your free Branson, Missouri guide right now by calling this number.
800-399-4215. 800-399-4215. 800-399-4215. That's 800-399-4215.
Zen World Premium CBD offers full and broad spectrum CBD oil, extracts, and capsules, which are designed to help you feel your best. Their products are sourced from the best organic hemp and natural ingredients on the market and are tested for quality, purity, and potency. They have a full range of items from health and wellness to beauty to pets. Call 725-205-9223. Visit online at zenworld.com or stop by their location at 9895 South Maryland Parkway and Silverado Range Parkway. Mention KSHP for 10% off in store or use code KSHP online for 15% off.
Is your dog suffering from a sensitive stomach? Hi, it's Kelly the Cookie Lady from Mooch's Munchies. Our dogs had super sensitive tummies, and I needed to find a low-fat treat that wouldn't give them gas or other issues. Most of the treats on the market were loaded with fillers, chemicals, and chicken fat. Many of them weren't even food. Well, I knew I could do better, so I developed Mooch's Munchies, and I'm happy to be able to share them with you. Stop by our store or our website, moochesmunchies.com, and find out why we say that Mooch's Munchies are totally pawsome.
Hungry for the best barbecue in Las Vegas? Come out to the infamous barbecue and meat market, John Mole's Meats and Roadkill Grill in Las Vegas. John Mole's was featured on the Food Network's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Now take home delicious meat selections for your grill, and while you're there, grab a bite of the best barbecue in Las Vegas. With 2 locations now at Tom and Gowan or on North Decatur, you're sure to find the perfect meats for your next barbecue or party. Find us online at johnmolemeats.com.
At AR Heating and Air Conditioning, our main goal is to provide high-quality service without breaking the bank. From maintaining your HVAC units to fixing them when they are down, they are there for you. AR Heating and Air Conditioning offer reasonable prices, reliability, and professional service at a great value. For more information, go to fixmyac.net or call 702-646-4000. Beat the heat and call AR Heating and Air Conditioning today.
Live from Las Vegas, this is the Wayne Coy Show.
Well, that's what's on everybody's mind, of course, is those peanuts and the popcorn and the Cracker Jack and all that is baseball. We might have to wait a couple of years, but it's sure looking like Las Vegas and baseball are on a head-on collision track. Alan Snell is with us, and he's from lvsportsbiz.com. Alan, welcome to the show. First of all, it is so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You've been here before.
Yes. I've been able to enjoy these studios before, so
yeah,
I'm not necessarily a rookie, as I say.
No, you slid into that chair like it was yours, so that's good. But you wrote an article that got posted and put everywhere in the last 24 hours. I think today, right?
I posted it yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
But I got to say, on LV Sports Biz, it's been one of our most read stories in the 6 years I've been publishing the site.
Wow. Okay. And that should be noted. You are the publisher?
Correct.
Editor?
Pretty much everything.
Chief bottle washer? Yeah. So before we get into the story, what is your opinion about Las Vegas being a Major League Baseball town? Do you have an opinion?
Well, I came up through the ranks as a newspaper reporter, and I don't actually have opinions. I kind of have observations. I think
Right.
Las Vegas is a big sports town now, and it is the hot market of the country. A lot of other markets have been built out. And when I say built out, and we'll probably get into this in our discussion, when I say built out, I mean, we're talking about government money has been tapped for stadiums and arenas. So for many years, for decades, Las Vegas actually did not dive into giving out money for sports stadiums and arenas for quite a long time.
Right.
And then it reached a point, well, if you're going to compete and want to be quote unquote in the major leagues, you're going to have to fork over public government money. And then you have basically the Raiders.
Yeah. $750 million.
Right. People, just something to clarify about that number is that this market is generating more than $1 billion in revenues that are coming from the hotel room fees over a 30-year repayment period. So we're actually raising well over $1 billion in order to pay the debt on the $750 million. I just want to, that's something I like to clarify.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you didn't know that, you'd be like, what the heck are those people drinking over there?
Well, you should just know how much public money you're raising.
Yeah. And that was a lot. I mean, it was a big chunk of change. And Golden Knights, I understand, got a pretty nice deal as well.
Well, the Vegas Golden Knights play at T-Mobile Arena.
Mm-hmm.
It's a $375 million arena that was built privately by Anschultz Entertainment Group, which is AEG, which ironically they own the LA Kings, and MGM Resorts International, the biggest hotel owner on the Strip. Bill Foley later came in and bought a 15% share of the arena, but that was done privately, and the land was valued probably in the $300 million range. So if you add the $375 million value of the construction and the $300 million plus of the land, MGM Resorts did pay to demolish some buildings at that site to shoehorn that arena in that particular location. You're talking a project of about $700 million. The Raiders Stadium was a hair under $2 billion. It should be noted that the construction budget of the Raiders Stadium came in at around $1.4 billion. So Southern Nevada contributed more than a half of the money that was used to build Raiders Stadium, Allegiant Stadium. The $600 million difference that brings it up to that $2 billion figure that you hear all the time, that was money to buy the land, literally to buy equipment for professional services, for designers. And the construction of the stadium itself was $1.4 billion, $600 million in other fees. And that's why you hear this $2 billion project bill for that.
Mm-hmm. And how does that rank compared to some of the other new stadiums that have been built? Well, first of all, a lot of them private money. I mean, no public money involved whatsoever. Correct?
Well, it depends on what the market is. You can go to SoFi Stadium in LA, and that's a privately built project, but it's a whole different animal. You have a huge, gigantic piece of land in Inglewood that's being redeveloped by Kropke there, who is the owner of the Rams. But then you have a site here in Las Vegas where you have a stadium that was basically crammed into a pretty small location. That's why you have only about spaces for about 2,400 cars, for example. Completely different animal, and it varies. We'll probably get into this regarding the Oakland A's baseball park and public funding, but it is a highly volatile, controversial topic about how much government should pay some of the most affluent people in your community, which are the team owners, to build a stadium. The stadium is basically the factory for where they play. That's their business. Sure. And, as a reporter, I actually am not a sports writer. I came up through the ranks as a government reporter, and I covered City Hall in Denver. And I was fascinated at the time that Pat Bowlen, who owned the Broncos at the time, he can go to the state legislature and just ask the state legislature, can you pass a law that would give me $265 million to build a new, basically a new Mile High Stadium?
Yeah.
And
can you pass a law to get that done?
Yeah. I mean, you have to legislate it and you have to codify it. And what's interesting is that public policy makers usually don't deal with this high profile of topics when it comes to sports stadiums, because they're dealing with sewage treatment plants and road systems and garbage pickup. And then all of a sudden you have a professional team and they want money, and you're trying to figure out how much money should go into the pot to help build the stadium, or should public money be used. I just want to point out that I've covered this topic in 5 different markets, and it's a very highly volatile, controversial subject. Sure. And it comes down to your government officials and your public policymakers regarding how much economic impact you think a team will provide. What's really fascinating is that you'll hear these big, broad numbers of how much money teams and events bring to a market. It should be noted that here in Las Vegas, there's already a lot of people coming here. They're already spending. So there's all kinds of controversies about the validity of these numbers that are thrown around. The issue about the numbers and the economic impact numbers is that they're very potent politically. People who want the subsidy, who want the stadium, the teams that want the public government money, they're going to want those economic numbers out there because they're used politically to justify expenditure. So
of those 5 that you mentioned, that you were I guess in market when these things were happening, like in Denver.
Well, I was reporting. I mean, I've reported this in I first reported in Denver.
Yeah.
And then I went to South Florida, and Wayne Huizenga wanted a baseball park for the Marlins. And then you had, South Florida is a fascinating stadium situation. You have a completely new arena. You had a different arena for the hockey NHL Panthers out in suburban Fort Lauderdale. And then the Heat, they built a really fancy arena in downtown Miami. Then I moved to Seattle, and I covered the opening of what was Safeco Field, the new ballpark for the Mariners. In that particular case, again, these public funding sources are all over the place. There's no one-size-fits-all situation, because it's based on the local politics of the market, how much juice the team has. Sometimes, what's funny about the Broncos was that they actually needed a public vote. They had a public vote to extend the Coors Field sales tax to build the football stadium for the Broncos. The Broncos had their public vote the year after they won the Super Bowl, back in like the 97, 98 kind of range there. So sometimes it's just, and that's the thing which kind of, we're going to get down to the heart of the matter is, theoretically, these are public policy issues that are being discussed, but all of a sudden sports pops into the picture, and you're wearing your Raiders hat and your Raiders shirt, and you obviously have been a Raiders fan for like eons, and people have emotions, and their sports sparks this visceral kind of reaction.
Yeah, I almost didn't let you in here just because your hat is blue and orange.
Oh,
just kidding. Is there a reason why? It's not. Were you going for the Bronco colors?
Actually, blue and orange is after the New York Mets. Actually, there's actually quite a few. There's the Florida Gators.
Then you get a complete pass, because I know you are from there. So if you did it because you're a Mets fan for life, then you know what, you're the same as me. You're flying your colors. There's nothing wrong with that. I was going to ask you though, out of those 5, Alan Snell, by the way, from lvsportsbiz.com, you never saw one of those stadiums not get built.
Well, actually, Wayne Huizenga did not get his baseball.
So there was one.
Built.
Okay.
So, although the Marlins eventually did get a publicly funded a new ballpark built, but when I was there, Wayne Huizenga, in fact, he sold the team. He sold the team because he could not get public funding for a baseball park. That was a weird situation, because that was after the Marlins won the World Series in 1997 in a very unexpected way, and
then dumped all the players.
But they dumped it because they did not get the public funding for the stadium.
Right.
Seattle, in terms of the Mariners, they did get kind of a hodgepodge of various public funding sources. The ballpark did come out higher than expected. There was a cost overrun, but in that case, the owners of the Mariners at the time did cover the cost.
Okay.
So I've also lived in Tampa. I covered the business of sports for the Tampa Tribune back in the days when, they were called the Devil Rays, and the current owner, Stu Sternberg, he wants a subsidized baseball park to replace Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg. That's a case that there's a stalemate. That's a case where, very similar to Oakland, where the baseball park did not get off the ground politically. So some do, some don't. And it depends on, we were just talking before we went on air about Oakland. I mean, the Oakland City Council, these elected officials walk a very, kind of dangerous tightrope where they're, on one hand, they're dealing with, their friends and the people who are saying, don't give this free government money to a billionaire because you have all kinds of other public needs. But on the other hand, then you have all the fans who are heartbroken that the Athletics may or may not be leaving. Apparently they're leaving, but there's no, as my story went into very deep detail, and there's no rendering, there's no design architect even for a ballpark here in Las Vegas, and there's
very unusual, right? Normally, you have all that ready to go.
In fact, you'd
dog and pony show.
You'd actually have like a community group that's actually lobbying for the baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You live here. I mean, have you seen any local civic or business organization that has been lobbying for a Major League Baseball team?
Have not, but I did get an email about a year or so ago asking me to take a survey, and I took it.
Right, but that's the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
That was the Athletics sending out via, I think, the Aviators, the AAA team. They did.
Yep.
They did have a survey last year, and also, since the Oakland Athletics has said, they have said that they have cut off conversations with the city of Oakland, that kind of basically puts them in a corner now with no leverage to negotiate the deal here in Las Vegas.
The city or the A's? The A's, yeah.
The A's have told the city they've shut down negotiations with the city of Oakland. And so if you're not negotiating with anyone else, and the city, and it's not Las Vegas, it's going to be Clark County and the state of Nevada. If there's no other market to play that off of, then you're kind of trapped in a corner. So, you can't, if you don't get your way here in Las Vegas, there's not another market that you can kind of play off of.
Do you think the market would rather have an expansion team that they can call their own?
I think so. I think that's the magic behind the Vegas Golden Knights. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard to compare the Golden Knights to the Raiders. The Raiders are this established, iconic brand in the NFL, very distinct kind of, even though they've had a horrible record for like 20 years now.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But back in the 70s and 80s, they were, I'd say, one of the top 3 or 4 franchises in the National Football League.
Yeah, you use the word juggernaut. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, they had an incredibly loyal fan base to this day. The team, is coming off a 6-11 season, but, you have a very different situation. The Golden Knights were created from scratch. They were organically created. And I covered the expansion draft, in fact. It was June of 2017 inside T-Mobile Arena. And the Golden Knights literally created a team out of thin air by picking team players from other teams. And
they won right away.
And the Golden Knights had this miracle season. It was right after October 1st. There was this immediate emotional connection because of what this market went through with the killings on the Strip.
Yeah.
So the Golden Knights will always have a special place. But they were built organically from scratch. The Raiders come in, and if you've been to the Raiders games the last year or two, you'll notice that the Raiders games are pretty much a tourist event. I mean, they have more fans. First of all, the Raider fans who do attend are from Southern California and Northern California and some other places.
Yeah.
And the rest of and 50% of the other fans in the building are for the other team.
Right. The locals bought season tickets, and then they turn around and sell them to people.
They were basically investment
wherever.
tools.
Yeah.
They were strictly financial investments.
Mm-hmm. And that's because they have no vested interest in the team from before.
There's no emotional connection.
And they look at it as being somebody else's that came here versus, like you said, the Golden Knights. Or if they got a baseball team that was an expansion team, they'd be able to say, that's ours and nobody else's.
I will say this, that I think, in terms of getting back to public policy and how you fund stadiums, theoretically, I guess it would be more moralistic to have the users of the stadium pay for the stadium. And that's what you have. You have a lot of visitors and tourists who are paying that 88 cents on the $100, which is that's the charge you get to help pay off the stadium, and that money's being collected. So people who are coming to Allegiant Stadium, who are spending, paying the room charge, staying overnight, that money is going into a gigantic pot that generates about $3.5 to $4 million, $4.5 million a month. And eventually, they'll get to the finish line in 30 years, assuming the strip doesn't close down and the hotels don't close down like we had in COVID. But the users, the people who are attending games and events at the stadium, are helping pay off the stadium. So from a moral standpoint, I think that makes sense. The users of the public venue should be helping pay off the government, the publicly funded part of it.
Yeah, but I mean, who's making the lion's share of them? I mean, the profits are going.
Well, the Raiders, obviously. The Raiders run the stadium.
Right.
They manage the stadium. They do subcontract a management company to help them manage the stadium. But the Raiders, they built the stadium and they run the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Technically speaking, on paper only, the Las Vegas Stadium Authority does own it, but it's kind of moot because the Raiders run it and they generate all the money and keep it.
So when Taylor Swift comes here, the Raiders make money.
They make money on whether it's football or non-football.
Okay. So back to baseball, John Fisher is a billionaire who could certainly afford to build this place if he wanted to.
You would think so.
Yeah. He got the gap, as one reporter said, which I just love. Johnny got the gap. Yeah.
You know what's interesting about, the modern generation of ballparks? I mean, I was kind of kidding with a friend, like even the Aviators ballpark. Have you been to the Aviators ballpark? They have to me, the team store is kind of like a mall store. It's kind of like a mall. I mean, that's how nice it is. And I was just kind of laughing that John Fisher can probably open up a little Gap retail outlet in his baseball park if he wants to build the baseball park.
Why not? I came for a baseball game. I left with some jeans. Why not? So you want to illuminate, though. There's a reason why your article, I think, connected with folks that are like-minded with me. As much as you're a journalist and you shouldn't really have an opinion one way or the other. You're just reporting the facts.
Well, journalists do a very simple thing, and that is we look at what the protocol and how things should be, and then you see what happens, and you kind of see what the difference is between the two.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that have not been happening with this Oakland Athletics quote unquote, attempt to build a ballpark in Las Vegas that is just, that's not happening here that you normally see in other typical scenarios where, if you compare the Raiders stadium process, they actually went through the process of having what the governor created was called I think it was a Las Vegas Tourism Infrastructure Committee. It's kind of this official sounding thing, but it gives you the appearance that there was due process involved to evaluate whether a stadium was needed. And guess what? Yeah, a stadium was needed.
Yes.
So then it went to the legislative, process.
Right.
Went to Carson City, and you had arguably the most powerful person in Nevada, Sheldon Adelson, the late Sheldon Adelson, who paid for all the lobbyists.
On the Raiders side, he wanted football.
He was at the time working with the Raiders to get the stadium built. And he later dropped out because of a difference in internal negotiations between Adelson and the Raiders. But at the time, he did politically add his clout and his might to get that approved. And then you had a governor at the time was Brian Sandoval. Sandoval was 100% behind building the stadium and subsidizing the stadium with public money. And here's another interesting facet about this whole public subsidy thing. We live in this incredibly divided country, red versus blue. And the thing about publicly subsidizing stadiums and ballparks, they don't follow party lines. They don't follow political ideology per se, Republican, Democrat. You have some Democrats are for and against, and some Republicans are for and against. In fact, you had a Republican governor, Brian Sandoval, who politically signed the bill that created the Raiders Stadium, and then you had and then he was succeeded by a Democratic governor,
Sisolak, yeah.
Steve Sisolak, who was a big supporter and had a very close relationship with Mark Davis, which is kind of a subplot to this whole athletic situation.
Yeah.
Because as you know, and this is not a big blockbuster, Mark Davis and the Athletics hated each other. I know Mark Davis hated the Athletics over improvements and lease issues.
Well, the
over
A's
at the
were
Coliseum.
mad because the Raiders returned, and when they returned, they took what was at the time one of the more beautiful views you could ever have in a ballpark and completely destroyed it by erecting what Al wanted, which was luxury boxes, which is now called Mount Davis, which I think they only just now are paying off. They have like one payment left.
Right, but the point is that Steve Sisolak was very, very close to Mark Davis.
Yeah.
So if the Athletics came here, Sisolak was probably not going to bend over backwards to help the Athletics because of his friendship with Mark Davis.
Sure.
So the Athletics actually caught a big break when Lombardo won.
Yeah.
And Joe Lombardo, I think, is more of a blank slate. He seems open to conversations, and I think he's more open to it than Steve Sisolak would have been. But my point is that, subsidies and stadiums, they don't follow a political ideology.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Sure.
They kind of unfold based on the specific dynamic in a particular market.
Yeah. Well, I know the city of Oakland's stance publicly is we tried to work with them, and we just got to a point where we thought maybe we were going to be able to put the missing piece together, which was the gap, no pun intended, between the amount of money that was originally said that they needed to come up with for infrastructure they were asking for, and what the number is now post inflation, right? And they didn't say they wouldn't, but they were that was that loggerheads between the two of them. Then this week that was supposed to be the week that was, everything got preempted when in the middle of the night, as the A's took off for a road trip so nobody would be at the offices to have to answer questions, they said, well, we're leaving. We have a deal to buy land in Las Vegas. So what do you think of that?
Well, I mean, the site itself looks pretty good. It's kind of interesting. But again, let's look at how this unfolded regarding the site here in Las Vegas. Dave Cavell, the president, led people to believe that the Athletics were looking at 3 locations. There was Tropicana Hotel right on the Strip. There was the festival grounds across from the Sahara and Las Vegas Boulevard, and the Rio, right? So all of a sudden you have this location pop out of the blue. So you're wondering how much credibility does this guy have if he's leading Las Vegas to believe that he's looking at these 3 other locations, and then all of a sudden you have a site off. It's the I believe it's the old Wild Wild West casino site at Tropicana and just west of the I-15 intersection there. And you wonder how much credibility is there if the site, wasn't even discussed. Now, from a practical standpoint, it's not a bad location. It's actually, it looks like it's about a half mile west of the Golden Knights Arena. And it looks like it's about a half mile north of the Raider Stadium.
Right.
It's part of the quote unquote, strip corridor, if you will. Obviously,
tourist corridor for sure.
Yeah. So, and obviously the state of Nevada is going to have to finish this Tropicana Avenue road work and interchange. I actually spoke with Dave Cavell, earlier last week. And we had a good interview, and I had mentioned that he kind of said as a little quip, hopefully the Tropicana Avenue work will be done by the time we show up.
Will it change the work? Is what I was thinking. Are they going to have to do things that they aren't planning doing now?
That's kind of an interesting issue because
he mentioned a connection between the new stadium and Park MGM.
Well, it's actually kind of a valid point because obviously the road work on Tropicana was being done not with any knowledge that there could be a Major League Baseball park on the west side of Interstate 15.
Right.
So, but now they're in the middle of the project. So what do? I will say this. I mean, we have to be, again, and when you're talking about Las Vegas, you're talking about a market that is not known to have great transportation, great health care, great schools. And these are the kind of issues that I think, the elected officials at Clark County and even the state legislature are going to have to consider. And that is, how important is public money for a baseball park when you have these other public needs that are just crying out for help?
And I think that was at least for those that were not necessarily detractors, but wanted to see a plan in Oakland. I think that was exactly the point they were making.
Right.
It's a city that needs a lot more than just a new stadium for its baseball team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, much better than I do about the city of Oakland's, social issues and public needs.
To their credit, I think the A's have worked on this. It was just, we've kind of been through this before where we were going to Fremont and then that didn't happen. And then we're going to San Jose and the Giants wouldn't let that happen. And then they were going to Laney College, and the college, after they announced they were going there, said, no, you're not. We don't want you here. So then that went away. And somehow we ended up at Howard Terminal when truthfully, most people who live there would tell you, and I'm a Bay Area native, that the best place you could possibly be is right where you are. You've got 880 there. You've got BART there. You've got the airport there. It's from an egress point of view, you get in, you get out, and it's got tons of space. So you could actually do everything Fisher says he wants to do, build a village, all of that. So I don't know why we got away from that. They say that they had to be on the water. But last I checked, there's not a whole lot of water over there on Tropicana. So apparently it's not that important.
Well, where does John Fisher live?
He lives on the other side. He lives in the North Bay. So he's really, he's a Giants fan. His dad was very instrumental in helping to make sure the Giants didn't take off for St. Pete back in the day.
Right. So, a lot of times with owners, there's the political and business issues to deal with. But at the end of the day, it comes down to owners who are emotionally invested in the team.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm just talking from experience in Tampa, for example.
Right.
You have a baseball owner of the Rays, for example, Stu Sternberg. He lives up in Westchester County, north of New York City. And he is at loggerheads with trying to get a ballpark built down there. And then you have Jeff Vinnick, who owns the Tampa Bay Lightning. Jeff Vinnick lives in Tampa, and he is building a very big walking district, business district, medical district in and around where his team is playing at the arena there.
Yeah.
So again, it comes down to owners and whether they're emotionally invested in the team and in the community. And, sometimes you can kind of measure that emotional investment by how much money they're willing to personally invest in the stadium or arena.
Right. So that was a good question you asked. The Haas family who stepped in and bought the team from Charlie Finley, they went into the community and let everybody know that, look, we want the A's to stay here. We want to give back as much as we take. And there were educational programs. They built fields for kids to play Little League. They were very much about the neighborhood. And the team, they didn't have a problem spending what it took to put a good team on the field. 88, 89, and 90, they go to the World Series 3 years in a row. Now, they only won one. Don't want to talk about Kirk Gibson right now, but okay. But still, they were there. And they didn't have a problem paying those salaries. Then the Moneyball thing came in with Billy Beane, and that worked to whatever degree, like you said before we went on the air. Right. Hey, they had 20 years there where they were winning at least enough to get into the postseason.
Yeah, I think they made the playoffs 11 out of 20 years.
Right.
It's a pretty good record. They ended up, I think, always losing to the Yankees or whoever. But
sure,
the point is they were a competitive team. Right. My impression is that, there was, with especially in the last 20 years, there was this kind of like underdog mentality that the Oakland A's fans really enjoyed relishing, and that even against these like big odds, the team still would win and still would be competitive and still compete.
But none of us were happy to see Jason Giambi go play for the Yankees,
right?
Or to see Josh, what's the last name? Third baseman.
Donaldson?
Yeah, Josh Donaldson, who we loved. Gone. I could go on and on and on. Every time we develop a player, You know,
Right,
Mark
but-
Canha is playing for your Mets now.
Right,
And-
but I mean, you've
you know.
seen that play out in the Tampa Bay market as well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were good at it. I mean, they were able to, keep a relatively low payroll.
And they have a core. They kept their core.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, is there a reason why Sean Murphy
But my
is not
point
our
is that there
catcher?
seemed to be an emotional connection between fans and the Athletics,
Yeah.
and they kind of took pride in the Athletics.
You're right about that.
And maybe they were, and maybe demographically, they're not like this. You're not talking about like a LA Dodgers situation or Chicago Cubs situation, but still, I mean, from what I can tell, especially since I've been kind of focusing on the story more for the news site, the fans have a very strong emotional connection, and people are really emotionally upset about potentially losing this franchise to Las Vegas
because they, which is we, feel like we didn't do anything to cause this situation. In fact, when you put a winning team on the field and you showed you cared, we supported you. I mean, the A's drew 3 million people one year, So it's not like we can't draw. We can if you give us a good product and you don't tell us every other sentence that you're on a parallel path and you're thinking of leaving and you're going to go here, you're going to go there, you're going to go here. I mean, it's like you've left us twisting in the wind.
I just found it kind of interesting that you had other markets who actually are pursuing Major League Baseball. I mean, you have Portland and you have Nashville and you have
both great
Charlotte.
markets. Yeah.
And there was another Salt Lake City just popped up in the past month. There's a group, there was another civic group that popped up, led by, in fact, Dale Murphy and the Millers in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And I'm kind of surprised that you have cities that actually want Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of surprised, because Oakland is geographically in the West, so, probably they'd have to stay in the West. But, you had Portland, for example.
Right. Though there was talk they were going there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was happening for a while. It's just, why are they going anywhere is my point. Like Oakland should be figuring out a way to keep its team.
Right. And that gets back
John Fisher needs to do the right thing by the city. And by the
And it
fans.
gets back to, again, the public policy issue of Oakland, this baseball franchise wanting public government money from a market that didn't really ask for them to come here.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Yes, Las Vegas is growing and it's extremely dynamic right now on the sports scene. But, what's interesting, before the Golden Knights arrived in 2017, this was the biggest market without a major league team. Now, if there's a third major league team here, we will be the smallest market with 3 major league teams in the country.
Right.
So you went from like 0 to 3, and I think,
will that? Okay, good point you bring up. Will that cause legislators to maybe pump the brakes a little bit on this because
they might wonder whether the size of this market could support any 81 home games.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, that what I've seen when new ballparks are built, there's this nice honeymoon period for at least a year or two where the team's performance really doesn't dictate whether people come out. People want to see the new venue. So for a couple of years, you'll get a nice little spike in attendance in a new baseball park. In the case of the A's, though, I think you'd get sellouts when the Yankees or the Cubs or
Red
the
Sox.
Dodgers or the Red Sox show up. But guess what? When the Marlins or the Rays, pop into town, you wonder, how many people would show up on a Wednesday night in the middle of the week.
especially with the kind of talent, and I'm using air quotes here, we have right now. I mean, if things stay the same, you'd have 2 AAA teams playing in Las Vegas.
Well, I mean, it's kind of sad, but you do have a AAA team already here. The Aviators, which is the athletics team.
Yeah.
And the question would be, can both franchises compete? And I guess the running joke is, well, if you want to watch AAA baseball, we already have it here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but
this is my second time, by the way, going through hearing our team referred to as the Triple A's.
Yeah.
Happened in '79 before the Haas family stepped in.
Yeah, it's sad because as you know, there have been nights where the ballpark in Summerlin here does outdraw the Coliseum in Oakland, which is
Family Guy even took a little punch. Did you see that?
it's become kind of a little pop culture kind of now.
Yeah. Well, So how's it work from here? Because you obviously know how all this works. So here's where we are. We don't have the renderings, like you said. We don't have the plan, really. We have a location that wasn't even on the radar before. How do they take all of that?
Well, right now, Dave
in like 6
Cavell
weeks.
and his lobbyists, they're in Carson City. And typically what will happen is that you have a whole buffet or menu of public funding mechanisms, all kinds of taxes and fees. And what they're doing is they're measuring how politically palatable all these different fees will be. And I think they believe you can build this tax district, which is not new. I mean, it's kind of a common method to try to raise public money, and that is creating a tax district around the baseball park, and all the businesses in that tax district would, impose a fee, and money would be collected. And again, from a moral standpoint, you want the users of the venue to pay for the venue. So, that's kind of the philosophy there. I don't think they're going to generate $500 million through a tax district. So there's, maybe there'll be some tax credits. They're going to be they're going to look at, literally the menu of every conceivable type of funding mechanism and see which one will be politically most palatable. A technique that sometimes teams will do is like Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers, they got their football stadium built with public money by attaching not only the money that would be raised through a sales tax would go for the football stadium, it would also fund schools and other things. So,
Right.
That's another tactic is
It's like the lottery.
it
right?
basically creating a funding mechanism that would generate money for an A's baseball park. And I'm just kind of coming up with this out of thin air, like, maybe special healthcare resources or schools or whatever.
Yeah.
But they have to do it quick. Dave Cavell wants to apply to move to Las Vegas to Major League Baseball by August in order for that to be voted on by the owners this fall, in order to have a groundbreaking in 2024,
Yeah.
to have a stadium open by 2027.
Right.
So typically, again, as a journalist, these things usually take a couple of years. That's kind of the protocol.
Mhm.
You go through a due process where where the public gets to get their 2 cents in.
Everything they've done in
And
Oakland.
you don't really see this you don't see any of this stuff in Las Vegas. They're going to have to, speed up a process that usually takes 2 years and cram it into about 4 months.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that set me off a little bit yesterday is, I'm going to back up. When Dave Cavell first came onto the scene, it was pretty refreshing. He was very well-spoken. He had open office hours. You could come and literally,
He
as a fan.
he seems like a pretty friendly, gung-ho kind of guy.
Yeah, but he's become the carrier of the water to the degree that when he says Major League Baseball is giving us a deadline of the beginning of the year, January of 2024. We have to have this done by January of 2020. Major League Baseball is putting a deadline no, Major League Baseball has said, if you want to continue receiving the welfare that you're getting now, Mr. Billionaire owner, you better have a plan together by January of 2024. That's what that's about. They are getting all that revenue sharing money and they don't want to not get it. So it's going to go away if they don't have a plan.
Well, kind of something that's kind of a little quirk in this is that I believe the lease at the Coliseum expires after 2024.
It does, yeah.
So that's another issue, is where would the Athletics play? Yeah, everyone's been talking about them bunking up with
the
Aviators and
Yeah.
playing in a 10,000 seat stadium there. It's a nice baseball park. It's in suburban Summerlin.
It's beautiful.
But
they'd have to add seats, right?
Well, I don't know how much. I mean, they can probably get maybe more seats, but Don Logan, who is the president of the Aviators, has been asked multiple times about whether you can expand that venue, and you can't. I mean, based on the way it's built,
you cannot.
You cannot expand it.
okay.
So, maybe they can put some temporary bleachers, maybe out in out in the outfield or something, and maybe they can add I'm guessing, maybe another thousands, whatever, but it's not going to be that significant.
So I heard 8,000. There's no way you're saying they can't add 8,000 seats to that place.
I doubt it. I don't know where you're going to be cramming that in unless you structurally build onto the venue.
You can have Mount Davis if you want. We'll loan you that.
Yeah.
Now I heard him say that we might have to build a new clubhouse that would maybe be across the street. So I heard him say that, and then he said the light stanchions would have to be raised.
I will say this. I mean, I'm very familiar with the site, and I mean there is space. There is some open lots, out there.
Yeah.
So, they could. But again, theoretically, it's a temporary stopgap for 2 years. So, how much permanent building do you want to do for something that you're just going to use for 2 years?
Sure. So then if that did happen, would the Aviators stay there, or they would go to Cashman, or?
Well, I think they would just kind of share the schedule, when the Athletics are on the road, the Aviators would play. And
obviously at night, right? Because day games in July, that's not happening.
Right. I mean, that's another issue.
Mm-hmm.
Summerlin, is, so Summerlin's like around, has some elevation. It's around I think the elevation of the ballpark is probably around 3,100 feet, 3,200 feet. So it's about 800 to 1,000 feet higher than the Strip.
Yeah.
So it is a little cooler. I mean, it's a little cooler. I mean, it'll be 3 to 5 degrees a little cooler, so, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But like you said, in June, July, June, third week of June, it seems like we always have our 113 degree days, here. So
I'm sure
June,
Major
July,
League Baseball
August,
players would love that.
Yeah. So, it's not a climate control. That's something which Cavill did say, that the Athletics ballpark would have to be climate controlled in some way.
Like a retractable.
He's probably a
dome.
retractable or partially retractable.
Okay. So what happens now? What are we watching for? And we're obviously going to be keeping up because lvsportsbiz.com, your piece just got not just my attention, but I think you said A's fans are specifically perking up when they read what you
right
wrote.
now. It's a political public funding debate. So you're gonna see this at the state legislature in Carson City. What's interesting is the state of Nevada has a legislature that meets only once every 2 years. So
did not know that.
So you're going to have some robust debate now. I mean, Cavill said that he's been in touch with the leaders of both houses, and then you have Clark County. Clark County Clark County's the commission's a very powerful governing board here, and you have Jim Gibson, who is the chairman, and I believe the ballpark would be, in Michael Daff's district, so he's going to play a very big role with that. So basically, it's a political issue now. And, Clark County has said that we, for what it's worth, they have promised that it'll be robust debate and public discussion. I haven't seen too much of it, but, that's, ask what's next. That's what's going to be what we're going to see. I mean, hopefully there'll be some public forums where funding sources will be discussed, and hopefully these will be robust discussions.
Knowing what you know about the market, and you know plenty, how do you think this ends?
Well, since Las Vegas is kind of a betting town, honestly, I just kind of look at it as, I wish I had kind of a crystal ball, but I kind of look at it as 50-50.
Okay.
I'm kind of, to me, it's conceivable for the Athletics to be here. But then again, we don't know how much Fisher is going to back off the $500 million ask.
Sure.
I'm guessing the $500 million ask in public dollars was kind of an opening, and, it could go down to whatever, 200, 250. We don't know how low he wants to go. He's willing to go.
Yeah. Interesting that his,
something to throw in is that Major League Baseball, I think in order to approve the move, Major League Baseball will probably want to see the new local host community, Clark County, state of Nevada, cough up the public dollars in order to approve the move. That's something which Major League Baseball, the owners, for them to approve this move, they'll probably want to see some some government public dollars as part of the deal.
Well, Commissioner Manfred came out and said basically he wants to see the Las Vegas thing happen because he feels like Oakland has played out its scenario and it didn't work out well. And he said, I'm sad for the
well, he wants
Oakland
Las Vegas
fans
to happen, but he hasn't said how much money Las Vegas has to come up with.
Right. Yeah. So that's still to be determined, right? Oh man, are you going to keep writing about it? Obviously, that's
well,
I want to get an alert.
When I published the story just yesterday, and I was writing it in the morning. I had started it a week earlier, and then the whole Cavill news broke. The 49 acres off Tropicana broke, and honestly,
you talked to him.
Yeah, and after I spoke with him, I mean, honestly, it's one of those stories where it kind of wrote itself because I also reached out to a lot of sports economists around the country, to get their 2 cents worth. I mean, there's about 4-5 different sources in there in the story, and they're worth, kind of digesting too, in terms of getting different perspectives on it. So, I mean, it turned out to be a 2,200 word story, which is, kind of a lengthy story for the internet these days.
Right. It was a lot of cutting and pasting for me, by the way. I had to share that thing immediately, which then I found out all I had to do was hit a button.
Yeah, there you go.
So we will obviously keep reading, and you keep writing, please, because we need to know. The fact that you got that interview with Dave Cavill, though, he's done one interview with the Bay Area sports press. One.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Yeah. I mean, he's talked a lot with the media here in Las Vegas.
Yeah. He hasn't returned my call yet. Okay. Well, Alan, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Alan Snell, lvsportsbiz.com. Worth every second of your eyeballs, whatever you can. You're looking for something good to read before you go to bed. It's a great site to dig into. Man, it's fascinating to me. And you obviously have made your whole life all about this.
I mean, there's just so many different aspects to it. And, what's interesting is that, people's comments are really based on their own personal interest in it. Yeah. And as a reporter, you try to, again, look at it at this is how things usually happen and this is how things are happening. And you report what the difference is.
Right. I, on the other hand, can be as biased as I am. Hey, the good news is, even if it doesn't go the way I hope it goes, because I want them to stay where they are. Okay. 55 years is a long time to be vested. And I think we're very vested. So leave our team where it is. Let Las Vegas have a new team. If it doesn't work out, what's the worst that could happen is I get to go see my team play. It's like the Raiders, right?
Well, what's interesting is that Major League Baseball probably wants to expand to 32 teams. They're at 30.
Yeah. They're waiting for Oakland and Tampa to figure their stuff out. Right?
And honestly, I think the Golden Knights have their magic because they were created from scratch.
Okay. So there you go. That's as close as you're going to get to him saying, no, I'd rather have an expansion team. Alan, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah,
it was great to meet you.
Yeah, yes. I'm glad we got a conversation going.
Heck yeah. Please come back too. Okay?
Yeah, we'll do.
All right. There he goes. Alan Snell. Don't forget, it's right there on his hat. lvsportsbiz.com. Go see him.
Hi there, this is Kirby Schofield, Schofield Realty here in Las Vegas. Real estate is always changing, be it a buyer's market, a seller's market. At Schofield Realty, it's your market. Buying or selling, we have the team and the tools to work the market so it works for you. We are excited that we're on the Wayne Coy Show. Our results blessed us with the Zillow Flex partnership roughly about 2 years ago due to our consistent conversion and customer service scores. With conversion, that means we can close. And with our customer service scores, you're going to get the best service possible. We're always looking for agents, led by mentorship, resources, and experience. We are your guide. Find us, kirby4u.com. That's KIRBY, the number 4, the letter U.com. kirby4u.com or call 702-766-9538. Again, 702-766-9538.
Are you worried about your taxes? Okay, so I'm talking to those of you out there that have not filed in a few years with the IRS or state. It's time to get worried, and here's why. The IRS is getting back from their own COVID lockdown, and they're hiring more enforcers, and they're going to come after people that owe taxes. So if you're a 1099 worker, and maybe you just plain forgot to file your taxes, you need to call the professionals right now at the Tax Helpline. They are experts at knowing the tax regulations, and their goal is to help you pay as little as possible. Call right now and get a 100% free tax evaluation. Remember, before the IRS knocks on your door, knock on our door. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, make this free call right now.
Call taxes 321 now at 800-203-3517. 800-203-3517. That's 800-203-3517.
My name is Michael Stefanski, and I am the owner and founder of Sin City Custom Suits, custom clothing concierge. I help gentlemen get into clothes that fit them like they're supposed to, that they pick out themselves, and we craft together. 600 different suit fabrics to pick from, about 40 measurements to make sure the suit's going to fit you right. Then we decide, do you want 2 buttons on the front, 3 buttons on the front, how many on the sleeve? Do you want like a custom photo lining for the inside of your jacket? Any number of different things that you can think of. This is all about what do you want? And when you ask guys, what do you want? They don't know because they've never been given the option before. Because I help men look as absolute best as they can. It's transforming people's lives. If you've never had a suit that fits you right, you have no idea how much confidence it gives you. That's the important part. 702-767-2478. Instagram at Custom Suit Guy, SinCityCustomSuits.com.
Now back to the Wayne Coy Show.
Time winding down. 227 days after their first regular season game in franchise history. The Vegas Golden Knights are headed to the Stanley Cup Final.
Here's the cool thing. See, that was against the Winnipeg Jets. So if it rings a familiar bell, well, it should. One more game to go to get through this round of the playoffs. I guess the question is, will they be able to do it? Everybody I've talked to is pretty excited and feels like, yeah, we got this. So I hope so. Tomorrow, we'll talk hockey, of course. And it's Thursday, so that means the box officer will be here, and we're going to get into all things cinema tomorrow. Some hot movies open up. I don't know which one he's going to talk about, but we will find out for sure tomorrow with Patrick Stibbs, the box officer. Thanks to our guest today, Chris Collins, who got us in that hockey mood to begin with, checking in from his car as usual. Great conversation always with Chris, the hockey guy, Mr. Hockey. And then after that, of course, just enjoyed every second of the interview that you just heard. Will the Oakland Athletics be moving to Las Vegas? It depends, again, on who you talk to. But the scuttlebutt is there might be a little bit more pushback than you would have thought when you first heard the news, okay? That's all I can say. If I say any more, well, you'd have to shoot me. So I'm not going to do that. But thanks to Alan Snell from LVSportsBiz.com for being in here and getting us in a baseball frame of mind as well. We got to go when we get back together again tomorrow night. We promise you nothing but big fun. It should be a good night to get together. And again, the main thing we're going to be doing is willing ourselves into a victory at T-Mobile. All right, that's what we got to do. Dungeon open for business tomorrow night. We'll see you then.
The world-famous radio shopping show weekdays on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas and KSHP.com.
You're listening to the Sports Byline USA Broadcast Network.